Teacher, hearty welcome to Martha Training College Research Wing. Teacher, അതുകൊണ്ട് ഒരു ഒഫീഷ്യൽ ആയിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു ഇൻവിറ്റേഷൻ്റെ ആവശ്യമില്ല എങ്കിലും ഞങ്ങളുടെ ഒരു എന്താ പറയാ സന്തോഷം ടീച്ചറെ ഒരു ടോക്കുമായിട്ട് ഞങ്ങളുടെ മുന്നിലേക്ക് വീണ്ടും വരുന്നതിൽ. ഓക്കെ, ടീച്ചറിന്റെ തന്നെ സ്റ്റുഡൻസ് ഒത്തിരി പേര് അവിടെ ഉണ്ട്. നമ്മുടെ സന്തോഷം ഒന്നുകൂടി അറിയിക്കുന്നു. ഓക്കെ ടീച്ചർ. സൻല.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Good evening, everyone. Warm welcome to our 78th Talk of Insight In-Depth Invited Talk Series hosted by the Research Wing of the prestigious Martha Training College. Thank you for being here. For myself, Sanla Manoj, Research Scholar, Martha Training College. Let me share sad news with all of you. Our previous research coordinator, Dr. Jojo Johnson's father, has passed away last days, and today was his funeral. Please, everyone, remember Jojo sir and his family in your prayers. Thank you. Let us begin our meeting by seeking the blessing of Almighty with a prayer. Please be paused for a while.
സത്യവും സ്നേഹവും ജ്ഞാനവും ശക്തിയും ഒത്തുവിളങ്ങിടും തമ്പുരാനേ, ഞങ്ങൾ തന്നുള്ളിലെ അന്ധത നീക്കുവാൻ അങ്ങു വെളിച്ചം ചൊരിഞ്ഞിടേണം. നേരായ മാർഗത്തിലൂടെ ചരിക്കുവാൻ പോരായ്മയൊക്കെയും തീർത്തിടേണം. ഭാരതത്തിനഭിമാന പാത്രങ്ങളാൽ തീരുവാൻ ഞങ്ങളെ കാത്തിടേണം. നന്മയിലേക്കു നയിക്കണേ ഞങ്ങൾ ചിന്മയാതൃപദം കൂപ്പിടുന്നേ. സത്യവും സ്നേഹവും ജ്ഞാനവും ശക്തിയും ഒത്തുവിളങ്ങിടും തമ്പുരാനേ.
Thank you, everyone. Before we start, a humble reminder to our dear participants. Please mute your audio unless you are asked to unmute to avoid any distraction. If you have any queries related to the meeting, please type them in the chat box. After the talk by our resource person, there will be a deliberation time. At that time, you can clear your queries. This webinar is being recorded and will be uploaded in the MTTC Nalanchira, our official YouTube channel. And the link will be shared through the Insight In-Depth WhatsApp groups. Feedback form link will be shared only at the end of the meeting through the chat box. Only those who submit the feedback form will receive the e-certificate through the email ID which you enter in the feedback form. I humbly request everyone to kindly follow the instructions for the smooth conduct of the meeting. Kindly cooperate. Thank you. May I now invite Janu MS, Research Scholar, Martha Training College for the welcome address. Over to you, Janu ma'am. Janu MS ma'am, please. In the absence of Janu, let me invite Mrs. Smriti S. Pillai for the welcome address. Please, Smriti.
Thank you, Sanla. Am I audible?
Yes, please.
Thank you, Sanla. On behalf of a beautiful good evening to one and all gathered here. I am thankful to God for giving this opportunity for welcome you all to this program. And on expressing my thanks to all the research wing and all the participants, I extend my entering into my duty. First of all, I welcome our beloved principal, Dr. K.Y. Benedict sir, to this gathering. He is the power behind our all academic endeavor, and he guides in a very simple and very elegant fashion in our all programs. With great respect, I welcome Dr. K.Y. Benedict sir to this program. Next, I would like to express my welcome to our resource person, Dr. Sony Mary Varghese, ma'am, Assistant Professor, Pete Memorial Training College. And the topic for the today is innovative approaches to inclusive education. And inclusive education means the putting, I think, putting together all the different learners in the same umbrella. And for this talk, we got an eminent personality, and ma'am will give share all the ideas and will give a clear cut idea about the inclusive education programs and its innovative work. Surely the evening will be a very beneficial, ma'am. I extend a warm welcome on behalf of all present here to this program, ma'am. I welcome you, ma'am, to this program.
Thank you.
Next, I would like to welcome our research coordinator, Dr. Bindu ma'am, to this program. The ma'am is always with us to guide us in all our programs and giving support in all our academic endeavors. I welcome you, ma'am, to this program. Next, I would like to welcome all the dignitaries and all the teachers, research supervisors, uh, all eminent personality present in gathering. With a great pleasure, I would like to welcome everyone present in here. And next I would like to welcome all the research students, B.Ed and M.Ed students to this program with great pleasure. Once again I welcome you all to this program. Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Smriti. Our topic for today is Innovative Approaches to Inclusive Education by Dr. Sony Mary Varghese, ma'am, Assistant Professor, Pete Memorial Training College, Mavelikara. For introducing our guest of honor, let me invite Mrs. Nithya S.S., Research Scholar, Multiple Training College. Over to you, Nithya, ma'am. Nithya, ma'am.
Oh, Sanla ma'am.
Yes, you are audible, ma'am, please.
Thank you, Sanla. Good evening, all. Myself, Nithya S.S., a research scholar, Martiophilus Training College, Nalanchira. Dr. Sony Mary Varghese, our today's resource person, a versatile personality, is presently celebrating the chair of Assistant Professor at Pete Memorial Training College, Mavelikara. Ma'am took her doctoral degree in special education from RIE Mysuru. She started her career as assistant professor at different university centers since 2001. Then she joined as M.Ed and B.Ed faculty at Pete Memorial Training College from 2006. Ma'am has been a resource person in national and international seminars. She chaired various sections about the same. She has published various worthful papers in different journals. Ma'am has been a research guide at University of Kerala. She has been guiding 4 research scholars at different areas of research. We, the MTTC family, welcome you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, Nithya, ma'am. We are fortunate to have such a great personality as a resource person who will definitely enlighten our knowledge. With a great gratitude, let me invite Dr. Sony Mary Varghese, ma'am, for sharing the knowledge on the specific topic. Thank you so much, ma'am. Please, over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Okay. 1 minute. I'll share my screen first. Yeah. Thank you so much.
So thank you, Bendik sir and Bindu ma'am and all others who are present at MTTC for giving me an opportunity to present something on that I have knowledge on, that is about inclusive education. Thank you so much. I think during the initial stages of your insight in depth, I was a regular participant. I think I 10 to 15 talks I were attending. Really, they were beneficial for me, as I think so, because they were of relevant themes. Some of the classes I've attended was actually inspired me to take classes further. So I think something I have worked on. I think I forgot some of the classes at the initial stages. So I think I appreciate the effort taken by Matthew Flows Training College in continuing this talk series. I know that so much pain and effort you are taking behind this, Bindu ma'am, Joju sir, Bendix, and all the research scholars. I think you are putting so much effort in continuing this series. I know how it's difficult to maintain a series. We have started one, but it was difficult for me to continue this every week. So I appreciate the efforts. So may God bless you, and you can mention as like all of the teacher education institutions. So thank you. So today I want to present before you about restructuring our classes to ensure inclusion. I know that you are all familiar with the terms inclusion and inclusive education. So, in the topic itself, I have given inclusion means including us. So, later in the slides, I'm going to show you who is this us. So, before that, I'll just talk to you about what is inclusive education. Can you see my slides? Is it?
Yes, ma'am.
1 minute, I'll just see. Yeah. Yes. So let's discuss what is inclusive education. We know that I think Smriti was mentioning in the welcome speech that inclusive education means it's incorporating all under the same umbrella. It's very true. That means all children are in the same classrooms and in the same schools. So why it is mentioned that all children? Why it is mentioned that all? What is the peculiarity of the term all? We know that in our regular classes, some of the children are excluded. They're traditionally excluded because they cannot adjust to our normal classrooms because of certain deformities or something like that. They're facing certain challenges. And another thing is that a normal classroom is not able to satisfy the needs of such children. So we call them as children with special needs. We call them as children with challenges. We call them as children with disability or something of that sort. So we have the different children like that. Disabilities, like I think you're familiar with sensory motor disabilities, developmental disabilities, and different things are like that. So, but inclusive education is a privilege that is given to all children. That is, all children are included in the same classroom and nobody is excluded from our normal classroom. So these are the four terms that are usually we connect with inclusion. The first is exclusion. We know that normal in the olden class, I think before 2000 and all, these children are excluded from the normal community and they were given special education. And second is segregation. Segregation means these children are separated. These children are separated. They are taught in special classes, and normal children are separated from this children with special needs, and they are taught separately. And the third is integration. The later what happened means these children were incorporated or integrated in the normal classroom, and but they were not taught because those children cannot adjust to the normal classrooms. But when inclusion, what is the main purpose of inclusion is that all the children, even the children with special needs is also incorporated, or they are all included in the same classroom with all the privileges given to the normal classroom. Some additional privileges were given. Again, we used to confuse with another term, that is mainstreaming and inclusion. So even though I think in the 2015, 16 and all, some articles we can see that mainstreaming was a term that was used along with inclusion, or in some sentences it was when an article is cited, they used to write the term mainstreaming, while in other they write as inclusion. That means there's a confusion between mainstreaming and inclusion. But there is a peculiar difference. There's a particular difference between mainstreaming and inclusion. In mainstreaming, the special education students spend some time in the general classroom, and the remaining time, most of the time, they remain in the special education classroom. Whereas in inclusion, the special education children, they spend all the time in the general classes. Now, another thing is that in mainstreaming, the student has to go out for a service. If a child has a problem in writing, then the child has to go out with the resource teacher to learn how to write. But in the case of inclusion, it's a privilege that the service is brought inside. That means a normal teacher should know all the methodologies for even children with special needs. So we can just see who are to be included. I told in the beginning that inclusion is US. No, who is that us? Us means somebody from outside, or somebody who are traditionally excluded. Let's see who are traditionally excluded. That means according to our, I think, Sustainable Development Goal 10 and even our NEP 2020, we know that everybody has a right to education. Similarly, everybody has a right to an inclusive education, irrespective of the differences in ability or skill. That means all are, or even the normal students or the abnormal students or anyone having the challenge can attend the inclusive education classroom. So that means we can understand that even though all children are different, in the picture we can see that all children are different. So they can be different in the colors, ability, skill, everything, yet we are one in an inclusive classroom. So that is a peculiarity. One of my friend was discussing, she's an inclusive educator in the United States of America. She shared with me that no, disability is a boon to us. Why? Because as disability came, the special education has become, not special education, normal education has become special education, and now special education has become inclusive education. So the birth also, so the new concept of inclusive education is a boon that came out of disability. So these are the features of inclusion. In the features of inclusion, we know that all should be present. That means all children are present in the same classroom, all are participating in all the activities of the classroom, all are achieving in the classroom. That means a child with disability also achieves along with the normal child, and that all are supported. So who is giving the support? Many supports are given, even the teachers, the resource teachers, or even the school authorities. So even the peers, so all are supported. So these four peculiarities are the four peculiarities or for the features of inclusion. That means all are present in the classroom, all are participating, all are achieving, above all are supported in a classroom. So these are the principles of inclusive education. Because we can understand that what is inclusion. That is, everybody is included. That means there should be a it follows the principle of togetherness. Everyone is together, living together. No, we are familiar with the term living together. Similarly, the children are studying together. They are one and the same. So principle of equality. We know that now people are raising voices for equality, gender equality, transgender. So everyone, we are raising our voices against that. Similarly, all children are treated equal in an inclusive classroom. So principle of participation. All children are given the privilege or are given the freedom to participate in all the activities. Nobody is excluded. principle of acceptance. When a disabled child is studying in an inclusive classroom, what happens? We know that we have a normal child has to accept others, or a normal child has to accept a disabled child. That means we are one. Even though we are different, we are one. That means a person get acceptance in an inclusive classroom. Then principle of individual difference. I have shown the one of this picture that we all are different. All are different. Even though all are different in case of their abilities, in case of the intelligence, in case of the skills, in case of the competences, everything. But we should accept that principle of individual difference. Even in our normal classroom, we have individual difference. But whatever difference is there, we are one in an inclusive classroom. Principle of change, it is very important. That means in a normal classroom, we see normal children. Almost, even though we have a heterogeneous classroom, we have average, we have above average and below average learners. But in an inclusive classroom, different, I know we have sometimes each person is unique. We know that each person is unique. We have different types of children in a classroom. So a teacher has to change his or her methodology according to the different types of children. So these principles are mainly followed in an inclusive classroom. Then let's see what are the models of inclusion. We can approach or we can adopt different models of inclusion in our classroom. If we are becoming a 21st century teacher or a teacher educator, anyone, we can adopt different models of inclusion. So the first model is consultant model. I think we are familiar with consultancy. When we have a problem, when we have a health issue, we consult a doctor. So that means we and the doctor, we consult him individually. Similarly, in the consultant model, a student is having a problem, he or she can consult one or two teachers to solve his problem. If a child has a writing problem, if a child has a reading problem, if a child has any particular problem, so the child can join or child can meet any of the teacher and consult and can ask for the consultation. That is known as consultant model. Teaming model, it's a different thing. That is usually many of the schools in the schools abroad, they are adopting the teaming model. That means a teacher becomes a team leader, and she used to talk to all children, or she identifies the children who requires help, or she requires an assistance. So she forms a team from the first standard, first grade, second grade, third grade. So she collects, so she identifies the children and she forms a team. And what she does, she's the leader and she gives the main classes. And instead of that, the assistance will be given either by the peers or by some resource teacher. So that's a team model, forming a team. And the last is collaborative and co-teaching model, which is now adopted in Kerala. In Kerala, you know that most of the schools have a resource teacher. So in this collaborating and co-teaching model, what happens is that usually the teachers used to know that we have a normal teachers, they used to take classes. So if a child has a problem, that child will be assisted by a resource teacher. A resource teacher is appointed in a school for 2 to 3 days. So she will assist the normal teacher or general teacher for making the child to be for making the child to read, write, or something in which the child is having a problem. So the collaborating co-teaching model is now adopted in Kerala. I think in most of the schools in India also we are adopting this collaborative co-teaching model. This is more easier. This is more convenient. That's why we are using this collaborative co-teaching model. Then we should understand that we have the children with disabilities, but they have other strengths too. They have different disabled children have different strengths. So when we come to an inclusive classroom, we can see that some children will be learning disabled, some has minor or mild intellectual disabilities, some will be slightly autistic. I think some will be, one or two will be blind or some, but it is very rare to see someone with deaf students, because we have deaf schools in Kerala or everywhere. We have deaf schools. So they have different technologies can be adopted for such students. That means students with hearing impairment. So usually our students will be learning disabled, slightly autistic, and mild intellectually disabled students. Mostly in our schools, Kerala schools, they are facing a shortage of children. So when we go to schools, we can see that most of the children are studying in the same classroom. So in such classes, when a teacher finds it very difficult to manage such students in such classrooms. In our college, once I found that the students was not interested for going for practice teaching because they were unable to manage such students in the classroom. Especially when a teacher comes for observation, it's very difficult to manage such students. But we know that these students have certain strengths too. Even though they have certain weaknesses, they have certain strengths too. Simply, I've just I think this is too general. It's not much specific because say if I have to mention about the strengths more specifically, I should mention about each category. Learning disabled children have certain strength, autistic have certain strength, but this is given in a general format. That is, most of the children with disability or any such challenges, they have enhanced creativity. You'll be familiar with that. Ability to see and comprehend big pictures. They are more interested in seeing big pictures. Ability in bringing together material from different subject areas. Creative problem solving. Strong visual spatial thinking. Ability to make unique association with concepts. They have different types of strength. So this can be extended. These characteristics can be extended. So when we start, so my topic is how to ensure inclusion in a normal classroom. So to ensure inclusion in a normal classroom, the role is mainly given to a teacher, because teacher is the center of the classroom. So just I'll mention what's the role of teacher in achieving inclusion. So what the teacher can do initially, the teacher can identify such children. She can talk to them. She can listen them patiently. She can stay positive and confident. Usually that even the teachers, even the parents, and even our neighbors usually focus on the labels. No, even the students or friends say she has certain learning disability or she's a learning disabled child. First, initially, a teacher should think, or teacher should understand that don't focus on the labels, learning disability or autistic or intellectually disability, mentally retarded. We should not focus on such labels. So instead of that, you should focus on the sea of strength. That means they have lot of strength, which I could not mention within a short time, because they have a lot of strength. So a teacher should concentrate on the strengths of the children. So after concentrating on the strengths, the teacher can do two things. One, a teacher can support the children. And second, the teacher can teach the children. That is the general aspect the teacher does. So what is a support? Usually, these type of children are not able to grow or are not able to develop because they lack the support. Even though parents support them a lot. But in schools, what happened? They lack the support from the teachers, or they lack the support from the peers. Peers, sometimes they're unable to adjust with these children. They cannot support. But a teacher who is more mature than the students, they can support these type of children very much easily. Let's see what type of support we can give to such children. One is emotional support. When a child has a problem, when a child has some type of disability, initially the thing is that we should give them an emotional support, love them, and we should be affectionate to them. No, is when a child with disability, when we see a child with disability, sometimes it is very difficult for us to adjust with a child. But initially, what should you do? Either give a handshake and give him a pat on his back, or just hug him. It's very easy that. But think that if you give a hug, the child will be different from the next day onwards. So that means an emotional support is very much needed for a child with disability. And the second is, I'll discuss about social support. So usually we can see that a child with disability is segregated in the classroom, usually. Sometimes a child with disability is seen in the back bench, or sometimes it sits in the front bench alone, because other children doesn't want to mingle with such children. So it's better, we think, that we should give a social support to children. So in his neighborhood, in the school, and everywhere. And the third main thing a teacher can give, the academic support. Just see what are the academic supports that can be given to a child with disability. The simple thing is that this we can use in our normal classroom itself. So breaking the learning task into simple steps. So instead of giving the task as a whole, we can break those learning steps into small steps. Second is probe regularly to check understanding. We can ask questions. So usually in an inclusive classroom, we can see that most of the teachers used to avoid children with disability. So they won't ask question to a child with disability. Usually they concentrate on children who excel in their studies. So better if in an inclusive classroom, you should probe regularly, you should check regularly about the understanding of a child with disability. So you should provide regular quality feedback. So even we can do it within days or in week, we can give the feedback to the parents. So we can just talk to the parents that, so last week the child was like this, and this week he has improved a lot. So it will be a motivation to the parents, and so they can work more on the children, so the child can become more successful. We know the stories of Einstein, Thomas Alva Edison, and numerous people who had dyslexia. So why did they excel, or why did they become successful in life? Because of the motivation from the teachers, or some from the parents, or someone else, most probably from the parents. So the third thing is that we have to get a regular feedback. A teacher has to give a regular feedback to the parents. Then present information visually and verbally. So we are more interested to talk more. So we are most of our classes are lecturing, no? So, but in an inclusive classroom, try to present the information in a visual manner, depict in a visual manner. I'll show you how to depict this. So use diagrams, use graphics, use pictures, use to support instruction. I'll give you in the last slides. So then provide independent practice. We have an idea that a child with disability is disabled. That means he or she is unable to move further, but it is too wrong. Initially, we should, if a child is doing something, we should involve him in a guided practice. That means he should practice under the guidance of a teacher. Further, we should give him independent practice, because sometimes through practice, the child is able to do a particular work independently. So provide independent practice and model what you want students to do. If you want a child to write something, if you want a child to talk something, you model it first. So if you model, the child will imitate. So it is better you should model what the child should do. So these are the main three types of supports we can give: emotional support, social support, and academic support. Then we have to teach them what. So we can teach them different things. Mainly, we can teach a child with deficiency 5 things that will be more that will make them more successful in their life. One is self-awareness. Make the child aware that these are your strengths and these are your weaknesses. We can try this in the case of normal children too. So make our child to understand these are your strengths and these are your weaknesses. So what should you do? You should use your strengths more, and you should modify your weaknesses. That means you can get rid of these weaknesses you can overcome these weaknesses by using your strengths. So by making a child aware of this, the child will be able to step further gradually. Next is proactivity. I think you are familiar with the term proactivity or proactive. Proactivity means we have a problem. So a child can foresee his problem. It's the ability of a child to foresee a problem and to find a solution before that. We know that learning disabled children, there are a person with dyslexia, they cannot read, dysgraphia, they cannot write, dyscalculate, they cannot do maths properly, everything. So different disabilities have different problems. So a proactivity means a teacher should teach a child, so these are your problems. When you are studying in a normal classroom, you will be facing or you will be confronting with these type of problems in your future. So you should learn how to overcome it before. That is proactivity, not before activity. We have to learn how to solve a particular problem. There are different proactive strategies we can learn. We can teach our children with disability, even to our normal children. Next is perseverance. So a major problem faced by a child with disability is usually others will say, oh, you are not able to do this thing. Oh, you are helpless. So what? 1 minute. You are helpless. No, it's very difficult to do this problem. So usually people do used to demotivate children, even others. We don't know, even peers. Everyone used to demotivate these children. So a child should learn how to persevere. That means they should not stay back. They should overcome these problems. That means we have certain emotional coping strategies for that. You are not familiar with emotional coping strategies. Usually the children, they have problem with emotions, so they should learn how to cope with these emotions: anger, aggression, depression, anxiety, and all. There are different types of negative emotions. So a child with disability should know how to cope with this emotion. So what are the different emotional? We have meditations, we have different types of role playing, modeling, different methods are there. I think it takes one session to learn about emotional coping strategies. We have thought stopping strategies, we have cognitive restructuring, different types of methods are there to learn about this emotional coping strategies. But a teacher should teach a child with disability how to cope with emotion. If a child is aggressive, the teacher should teach him how to overcome his aggressiveness. If a child is having a problem with having depression, the teacher should teach him how to overcome his depression. So that is emotional coping strategies. Then goal setting. When a child is not able to move further, if a child has a goal, that goal will motivate him to move further. So what happens is that a teacher should teach a child with disability to set a goal. That means if a child has a learning disability, if a child is studying in 9th standard or 8th standard, suppose you think, so if a child is a problem, if a teacher initially, I think he was unable to move further, ask him what he should be. So what is his ambition? So focus on that ambition. The teacher can tell that if you have to become an engineer, or if you have to become an artist, or if you become a musician, if you become something, you should work on that. So the teacher should make a child to set a goal first, so that the child with disability will be able to move further by looking at a particular goal. He can visualize. No, he always, when he's demotivated, or always when he finds it difficult to move further, this goal set already before will motivate him to move further. That is goal setting. So teach them self-awareness, proactivity, perseverance, goal setting, and different emotional coping strategies. And these are the different, this I think you are familiar with, your BEd students are familiar with different type of cognitive strategies. These are some of the academic strategies we use. You're not familiar with concept mapping, I'll show you all these things. Visualization, making associations, I think chunking and all, we groups and remember something. Questioning is the scanning. Scanning means we remember only the key points. Then underline, using mnemonics, that also you're familiar with, sounding out words in languages, self-checking, and all. These are some of the cognitive strategies. These are some of the visualization techniques. Initially in the slide, I've mentioned that a child with disability has more strength in visualizing something. They are more interested in visualizing something more than writing or reading. So for that, we have to concentrate more on visualization techniques. You are all familiar with this. I'll just show you all these things. Graphic organizers are there. I think PhD research scholars that you're familiar with graphic organizers. Semantic organizers, again, I'll show you. Thinking maps, brainstorm webs, picture cue cards, story maps, storyboards, sequencing, etc. Let's see this one by one. So different graphic organizer you're familiar with. I think the graphic organizer and concept maps and all, I think you're familiar. Both seems to be same, but it's everything is different. So graphic organizer for reading. This is a simple graphic organizer for reading. This is that when after reading a story, we know that the dyslexic, dysgraphics and all, they find it difficult to learn a language. So in such case, what we can do is we can prepare a graphic organizer out of that. That means, so after reading the story, the child have to find out what is the context or what is the setting. Who are the characters? So what is a problem, something mentioned in this particular story, and what is the solution for that? So what is the theme for that? So this is a simple graphic organizer. You can elaborate it and you can work more on this. So instead of the setting characters, problem, solution and all, you can write some other thing which you are mostly interested or you are in need of. Then this is under the graphic organizer. I think usually we used to see in our textbooks and all with what are the things that are related to school. These can be, this is very easy to remember. Sometimes if you ask a child to write 10 sentences about a school, it's very difficult for a dyslexic child or an autistic child to write. They know how to speak on that, but it's very difficult for them to write or very difficult them to read. So in such case, that if we draw a graphic organizer like this, the child can understand that there's a teacher in a school. So there's a chair, something. There's a class. There are different classrooms. There's a playground. We have desks. We have lessons. We have boards. We have pupils. So such type of graphic organizer you can prepare for other subjects too, even science subjects or what subjects you are teaching. This is concept maps. I think you're familiar with this. We have learned it in BEds and MEds and MEd and all. So these are concept map, and this is a simple concept map drawn by a child. So this is another type of, this is an ice cream cone concept map. So this is why I think different types of concept maps are there. This is also a type of graphic organizer too. Here, if you can, this is a cone. No, we have a cone ice cream. Usually some ice cream, we have only one scoop we'll do. In some cone ice cream, we have different scoops. So this is a hierarchical cone. In this hierarchical cone, we can see that. So a child has to remember something on a particular topic. So in the lower layer of the cone, it is written as topic. So what all things a child should remember, it is given on each layer. This you can use in your normal classroom itself. So if you are studying about different characteristics, today we are studying about the characteristics of what the inclusion. So in the lower layer, I can write as inclusion, and above the first layer, I can write as all participating, all present, all achieving, and all support. So the child won't forget these types of visual organization. This is a semantic graphic organizer. Shall I take 10 minutes more, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am. Please.
Yes. This is a semantic graphic organizer. In semantic graphic organizer, so we are studying about a particular word. For example, we are studying about conductor or something like that, conductor. So in the first box, we can write about the definition of conductor. So next, the second box, we can write about what are the characteristics of the conductor. And the third box, we can write about the examples. And the last one, we can write about the non-examples. So by seeing this, semantic means meaningful word-related graphic organizer. When a child sees this type of graphic organizer, he can easily remember, retains the definition, what are the characteristics and what are the examples and what are the non-examples. So if you're doing, I think, half an hour lecturing, this graphic organizer will replace a half an hour lecturing. So this take only 5 minutes or 10 minutes for a child to learn. This will be better than our half an hour lecture. This is known as semantic graphic organizer. This is another which is related to English. So we have articles a, an, and the. So if they usually students used to confuse word to write a or word to write an and word to write the. So in such case, we can prepare as a semantic organizer. You can prepare for any subject. Sometimes certain graphic organizers are, I think it can be used for certain subjects or certain concepts. So we can interchange. That is according to our convenience we can use. So this is a type of semantic organizer. This is also another type of semantic organizer. This is Venn diagram. I think you are familiar with this Venn diagram. If we want to teach the children about the differences and similarities. So you see the differences are shown in the left and right of the oval shape, and the similarities will be there in the intersection point. This is Venn diagram. These are the thinking maps. I think some students will be familiar with this thinking maps. This is very important. We have 8 types of thinking maps. Each map has different purpose. For example, if we want to define a concept, we can use a circle map. See, in the circle, in the center of the circle, we write the word, and the definition keyword of the definition can be written in the circle that is surrounding the small one. This is a tree map. If we want to classify, we can use a tree map. So for describing something, we can use a bubble map. I think in English textbooks we have, in Malayalam, I think so, people call it Padasuryan, because they write the word at the center and the related words should be given in the bubbles that are connected. That is bubble map. There is double bubble map. If you want to compare two things, we can use double bubble map. So then flow map are there for sequencing, timeline, and for history and all. We can use the sequencing. Multi-flow maps are there for cause and effect. Brace map from whole to parts. Then bridge map are there for analogies. So different types of maps can be adopted to teach different types of concepts. So before itself I told, so we cannot use the same map for teaching different concepts. We have to use different maps to teach different concepts in different subjects. So these are some of the thinking maps, bubble maps, and those that live, animals that live in water. This is again a Venn diagram that differentiates series circuit and parallel circuit. You are familiar with physics, science students will be familiar with this series circuit and parallel circuit. This is again this thing bubble map itself. Then this is a brainstorming web. So have you heard about this brainstorming web? Here means, I think we used to do, but the term we are not familiar with. Here what we used to do is, we give the picture cues. What is the use of the picture cue means? The cues will be of the same aspect. So smell, hear, see, walk. These are the process we do. A human being does. Smell, hear, see, walk. So when we a child, we can draw a body of a human being or something like that, or we can draw a skeleton or something that is a living body and all. So brainstorming means we are giving a particular idea. The child will be given certain clues, and child has to join, or child has to find out what are the similar items or what are the similar things that is related to the particular idea. So once a child sees this, the child knows. So her nose is for smelling, ear is for hearing, eye is for seeing, and we use the legs for walking and all. So these and all, it's where we can apply for other subjects too. Then these are the picture cue cards. I think if you have these flashcards and all we use in English classes, these are picture cues. Instead of flashcards, I think you give the words. So with this picture cue cards, it's very easy to show pictures. You are familiar with Pictionary? Anyone have heard about the term Pictionary? Anyone heard of the term Pictionary? Pictionary? You can just unmute and tell. Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am. I think it's by using pictures.
Yeah. It's a dictionary of pictures. It's a dictionary of pictures. You can prepare a dictionary of pictures. That means showing the picture, the child can identify what a person is doing. So either it's a verb or noun or something like that. So similar to that, we have this picture cue cards. In the card, we can show a picture, and seeing the picture, the child can identify what this are. These are for elementary children. So for secondary schools and all, we can use little bit higher level. Then story maps are the stories can be. We have a story, English story. The students can prepare a map out of. So we given the character. The characters, they move from this position to this position, or they are discussing about something. So it is prepared in the form of a map. So you can either cut pictures and fix on the board, or you can, if a child is good in drawing pictures, he can draw it on the board and all. I'll show you one thing. This I have prepared for my son. This is a storyboard. So what is the peculiar to this storyboard means two storyboards I have shown. One is a storyboard in polar bear, and other is a storyboard on, I think, polar bear itself. And there is a storyboard in mosquito. So what is that? In the storyboard, it's just like the shape of a book. That means we cover the book like, I think we used to cover books like this. So instead of that, we have to cover book like this. That means we have a square piece, and then on the two sides, we used to close doors and all. No, that means we have to close like this. So these are it has, I think, 4 parts. That is small 2 parts, and inner this is a big one, and I think back also you can write. So about the polar bear. So what is in this storyboard means about everything about a polar bear is depicted in the storyboard. So what is the adaptation where the polar bear lives? What are the issues a polar bear is experiencing? And the other was about a mosquito. Mosquito means, so what about mosquitoes, though they I think mosquitoes also having certain problems, different I think different diseases caused by mosquitoes. So whatever I think information on mosquitoes will be depicted on the storyboard. So similarly, if you want to show your children anything about a particular concept, if it is they want to learn a wide source of information, you can prepare a storyboard. That means with pictures and with information. This is sequential. I think in history and all, we can learn about the sequential learning. Then now we have the assistive technologies. I think in maths and all, we have mathematical manipulators, virtual manipulators. You should learn about that. You can use it for dyscalculics, even for normal children too. Then you have this type of games. And then we have problems, students have problems with visual readiness and all. That means child with disability have problem with this remembering language. So they find it difficult to read and write. In such case, they can trace shapes, eye catches, they can use alphabet soups, language labels. These are eye catches, these are alphabet soup, because the child has to identify a particular alphabet from the soup, or the child can make words from these alphabets, soup, and so on. Then we have picture cards. Picture cards means a card depicting the picture, and the child has to indicate what the particular picture indicates. Then, if a child is interested in music, and if a child is unable to write or read, or it's very difficult for him to understand language, but if he is good in music, he can use this thing. Key rhythms are this is, I think it takes some time. The last word and discrimination, these are all related to music. So the child should have strong interest in music, but he has certain disability. He can use these type of methods. Then for remembering or memory and all, this chunking, read along loud, what audience practice, oral swap, mapping, web remembering. I think you're familiar with OAR method, OAR method. OAR means observe, associate, and remembering. So it's a different method. OAR method are the analogities, cut tips, and different types of methods for remembering. Certain children with disabilities have poor memory, especially disabled children or children with learning problems. So in such children, we can use these methods for easy remembering. For children, dysgraphics, we can do trace and write and trace, tell and write. So there are different methods, disappearing dots, alternate communications and all. Copycat is that, because we have to copy like this, alphabet trace, erase, string, etc. So for dyscalculics, you're familiar with dyscalculics, because dyscalculics are unable to do the maths problems. So for them, we can know that a child with dyscalculics has difficult to solve a problem. In such cases, they can use maths-related games. See, these 4 methods are very important for dyscalculics. Repetition. So they have to repeat. Time testing. They have to test. They have to do a problem. So after 10 minutes, they have to do the same problem. Then again, after 15 minutes, they have to do the same problem. That is time testing. So within a short time, they have to test this thing. OAR, not OAM, OAR. O is observe, A is associate, R is remember. OAR. Did you get Aditi? OAR, not OAM. Next is peer work, just like a peer tutoring is. Just like a peer tutoring, we have pair work. That means a child who is good in maths can teach a dyscalculic by how to, because that child should know how to do a particular problem, and that child should have interest in maths. He can teach this peer. That means how to solve problems, pair work. Manipulation tools. Okay, you should be familiar with manipulation tools. I think math students will be familiar. You Google, you can search for virtual manipulators. Before that, we have manipulative tools in boxes to teach about this, I think, calculation and all. Now we have virtual manipulators. During this COVID-19 pandemic, we have online teaching. So now I think most people have joined. Most people, I think, they have found out this certain virtual manipulators. So just search for that. That can be useful. Dyscalculics and normal children. Certain mathematical games are there. So you can find that straight and to show them children straight line sorting, size and difference and all. Then these are some of the alternatives to written assignments. Most of the children with disabilities find it difficult to write an assignment. We have seen that. Usually they used to copy. Sometimes even they copy, they will make mistakes. In such case, what are the alternatives to written assignments? There are drawings, playings. We should see that which aspect is more interested in the child, which is more interested for the child, and not only interest, which he is able to do. That is drawings, playings. A child who is not an artist cannot draw. So drawings, plays, videos are there. Child can prepare a video out of that, graphs, collages, concept maps, audio recordings, flow charts, simulations. Simulations, I thought you're familiar with. Simulation means we have to frame a situation, or we have to show a situation just like the original. The micro teaching is a simulation of teaching. That is. Similarly, if I want to manufacture a car, initially we prepare a simulated design of the car, and then only you manufacture the car. That is simulation. Models are there. So a child who is interested to prepare models can prepare models. Board games are there. Oral presentation. Sometimes a child is unable to write. In such cases, we can make the child to do oral presentations. Photographic essays are there, cartoon captions. So anything of this sort you can give. That means these are the alternatives to the written assignments that can be given in an inclusive classroom. So like this is inside a bedroom. So name the pictures and all. So these are some of the methods to improve memory. I think you're all familiar with this keyword technique, mnemonic, chunking and all. Story openers and all. I think you're familiar. So these are this mnemonic and all. You're familiar with keywords, once upon a time, and that is the key. That is the story opener, loci method and all. These are the assistive technologies. I'm going to end within 2 minutes. So assistive technologies, we have word processors. We have to text to speech and speech to text programs. We had a student with blind. We have a blind student, I think 2-3 years back. So we had a software that is text to speech and speech to text. So talking calculators are the, books on tape are the, computer-based activities, that is I told about manipulatives, classroom assistants are the, note takers are the, readers, proofreaders. These are all based on technologies. Then, and the last slide, I'm going to end. That means I started with inclusive classroom. So I told that inclusive classroom means all are gathered, or all students are allowed to study in the same classroom. Even the child has a problem, even the child has a difficulty, even the child has a disability, even the child has a challenge, even the need of the child is not satisfied. But the thing is that disability is always a possibility. One of my friends shared it. That is, disability is always a possibility means once we find a child with disability, he has other possibilities. The duty of a teacher or teachers or teacher educators or somebody in the field of teaching is that we have to identify the strength so that these children can be included in our classroom. And this is the essence of inclusion. Thank you. Thank you so much. I know that I was so fast because I have to stop my class within time. I think I took 10 more minutes. So sorry for that.
It's okay, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am. It was very much useful for all of us. It was a great and wonderful presentation, ma'am. All the slides were very much useful. It was very much useful for all of us because we all are related to the field of education. So thank you so much, ma'am. Now it is the deliberation time. Dear participants, please share your opinions and views, and also you can clarify your doubts regarding today's topic. The stage is open for everyone. Thank you.
Okay, I'll share this PPT. Somebody asked for sharing the PPT. I'll share this PPT. I'll share the PPT with MTTC. You can share it in your groups.
Dear participants, if you have any queries, please unmute yourself and ask. Thank you.
I think you are all with you are all in the groups of MTTC means they can then I can share this, no problem.
Sony,
I'll
ma'am.
share it to you, ma'am.
We are in
Okay,
different groups, ma'am.
we're in different
Sony,
groups.
ma'am.
I joined. I've joined
I
through ability group, ma'am.
think
We
Ability.
will share it in our Insight in the WhatsApp groups, ma'am. Sony, ma'am.
Okay.
this I
Sony, ma'am.
got the Ignatia group.
Yeah, yeah.
I need to describe this, right, ma'am?
Yeah. Ma'am, this is Rajeshwari here.
Yeah. I can hear, ma'am.
Yeah. Ma'am, I just have a few questions. Like, where I'm working, we are having students with autism, and that too, like, they have difficulty in speech. A child will not be able to express his needs
Yeah.
until you write a question on the board giving the options. He will not be able to choose like what exactly he wants, and he cannot be able to express himself whether he's sad or happy or excited, having anxiety. He does have those emotions, but when it comes to expression is a difficulty in the child. So how am I going to deal with this child, ma'am?
Ma'am, no, I think you are. This child is how old is this
He
child?
is 15 years, ma'am. 15 years, 1-5.
When we talk about this inclusive classrooms and inclusion and all, it's better that a child should be given remediation at the early stages, especially this emotional coping strategies and all should be taught at the earlier level. And so no problem, the child is 15. You can initially you have to give him individual practice or independent practice. So further only you can incorporate him in this classroom because this child has a lot of problems. So he is studying along with the normal children. So
Yes.
he is not able to adjust with the normal children. Normal children cannot adjust with this child. So
Yes.
because he's already 15 means I think 15 means it's already 15 years over. But it's not over. You have to sit with the child and you have to practice a lot of independent strategies. Lot of independence. If you give me your mail ID to me, I'll give you some of the strategies that you can use. You can sit with him and you can talk him individually. Otherwise, it will be difficult. So
Yeah,
as he's
thank you very
15,
much, ma'am. Ma'am, as we have the zero rejection policy,
I know that.
when a
No
child is
problem.
getting into the school, when a child is severe and profound, how is
Yeah.
it going to help a child when in inclusive education?
That is very difficult. If a child is profound or severe, it is very difficult to maintain him in the higher classes. So initially, if the child is in studying in the same institution from the lower classes, we have to start from the lower class itself. So lower class itself, what is the difficulty? If he is difficult in maths, we have to teach him certain practices at the lower classes because we know that when it becomes higher classes, the concepts will become very difficult to learn. Is it? Even he find it difficult to learn the lower concepts. So how can we teach him difficult concepts at the higher classes? So the thing is that you have to see since the child is 15 years old, you have to sit with the child, work with him independently with a lot of strategies are there, but it is very difficult to do. That is, yeah, right. Disability is
Yeah,
differently able,
yeah,
right?
ma'am. So what is it the next? Like now the child is in the school. So we are looking at NIOS, we are looking at occasional training. So from which age onwards would be better for any child being independent in all his personal levels? So when can we be able to, guide a parent or suggest a parent to put into any vocational for a particular child, maybe from class 5 onwards?
Yeah, you can know not 5 onwards. No, I was working in an institution.
Yeah.
So when I was working in an institution, I think almost 10 years back, I found it that they start with the child from his, I think 3 years old. Most probably, most of the children were brought to the institution at the age of 3. So they start with the child from 3 and they work
Yes.
with the child for almost 5 years. Then they make him to join the first standard or second standard. So it should be like perseverance. We should work with him consistently. So the parents, the teachers, and it's a team effort. So if the parents are not able to meet, it's slightly difficult for the teacher. So it's a team effort that we should work together to work for the child. Or if the teacher can teach some of the strategies, the other strategies can be practiced at home itself. So
Ma'am,
I
I've
think
been
we should
working,
start.
with children with special needs. I'm sorry to say that, but at the end of the day, me as a special educator, I end up with any, no clue, like where this child is, at the, after finishing the school, where this child is going to be standing. So yeah, there I think, see, we are giving admissions. We are as special educators working with these children, doing 100% job. Even the parents are working, therapists are working. At the end, after a certain age, where this child is standing. So that is where, I personally feel, are we really working towards the child's independency? If not all the areas, at least in few areas, is a big question mark, which has been, I've been looking for
No,
an
ma'am.
answer. Yeah.
It's true, but we can do it because no, if you just want to know what is the particular, what is the stage of the child now, we have different tools are there. No, we have certain inventories are there. We can start the inventory. No, if a child is, if no, if I suppose for example, if you work with a child for 4 to 5 years. So suppose you want to know where he stands, we have different tools, remediation tools, where inventories are there. So by giving those tools, we can just find out at which stage he is. And after finding out which stage he is, we have to work more on him. Some children know with mild disabilities, and I'm familiar with some of the children with mild disabilities. So they overcome very fast. But some no, they require more time because each child we have to work on different pace because
Yeah.
they have different strengths and they have different so different abilities and different weaknesses. So what are
Yes.
the weaknesses they have to be remedied, and what are the strengths we have to concentrate more on the strengths than on the disability, no, the weaknesses. So I think it takes either, for example, each we know that each personality is unique. So that's similar
That's
to
it.
that. Each disability is unique. So if you think that if we take two children having learning disability or dyslexia, but those two will be different. That we know. The characteristic of disability will be different. So we have
Yes.
to independently work on them to find out what are the weaknesses and how to remedy that and how to use his strengths to overcome those weaknesses. So it takes time. It is very difficult to deal with madam, I think much more than me, that is very difficult to deal a child with disability and a normal child because it takes time and it needs patience and it needs perseverance, everything. Is it?
But yes, there is a lacuna, ma'am. As special educators, we need to be definitely looking at that area. We
Yeah.
only look at passing the school and inclusive education, putting the
Yeah.
child in an inclusive
That's a
school.
problem. That's a problem.
Sensitizing
So,
students, sensitizing teachers, sensitizing
yeah.
parents. We are doing
Very
all
true.
across
Very
whatever
true.
is possible. But
Very
when it
true.
comes to the last stage, last stage in the sense, I mean to say, where we are making this child stand up after doing
Yeah.
so much of struggles. That
Very
is
true.
what, hitting me, which made me to attend your webinar. So
No, in some
if any
schools of
possible,
Kerala, when I used to visit my students, observe the classes of my students, I found out that usually these children are properly ignored. So up to 10th, they are not getting anything, but they pass 10th. I know two children from the same home, they passed 12th, but they don't know anything about any concepts up to 12th, but they passed
yeah,
up to
what
12th.
after 12? What after
Yeah.
12
Yeah,
is a
that's
question
the
mark.
question. In such
Yeah,
cases, I think no, we should give more importance to this type of vocation. What you have mentioned about this vocational, otherwise NIOS and all. So we have a
yes.
special education school where I am working nearby. So there, no, I have seen that those children who pass sixth or seventh, they'll be brought to normal school. But when they reach the normal school, as the teachers are unable to cope with these children, those children
Not
go
possible.
behind. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm very happy, ma'am, that I could, reach you. Thanks a lot. Lots of information. I think hopefully it will be helping me to work with my children as well. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Excuse me, Sony ma'am. There is a question by Flosia D'Souza.
Tell me.
The term disability has
That I have
been
already seen, Sanila. That is mean I know that is disability is already replaced by differently abled. I forgot any. I think during the presentation I've mentioned the term disability, but because it's right. This differently abled. That's the thing I told that they're privileged. That's the I ended my presentation with that. That means this disability is not a disability. It has different possibilities. So differently abled means they are abled in a different manner. So it is a duty of a teacher to identify what are their abilities. So what are the strengths? I'm not able to switch on the camera, sorry. Tell me. Any more questions?
Ma'am, Sumi Raja has asked some info about case history.
What case history?
No, ma'am. How do we maintain this case histories, ma'am? Every 3 months, we need to maintain a record, or how often should we maintain this record, ma'am?
This type of anecdotal records you're asking?
Yes, ma'am. For the especially this LD students.
That depends, no?
Okay.
So in some cases we have to. How we should maintain means we should in United States of America and all, they maintain this record when a child enters the school up to when the child passes out of the school, because that record is very important, which have to be transferred to a counselor or to a future teacher or somebody else. So every day we should record. That is the, I think, requirement. But if it is not possible, you can do it when it is possible for you.
No, is it a very quarterly, or quarterly
No,
should be
at least
maintained?
monthly. At least monthly. No,
Monthly.
at least
Okay.
monthly we should do it.
Okay, ma'am. Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for answering.
Bindu ma'am, can we move forward, ma'am?
Yes. Okay, Sanla. Okay. Thank you, Sony teacher. Thank you very much. We are grateful to you. It's highly informative and a fruitful session. Thank you very much, teacher.
Thank you so much.
Sanla?
I was in a rush. Sorry for that. No, since I prepared the slides, it was in a. I think my presentation, I was in a hurry to finish it. So,
There's a lot of information for our scholars and teachers. Sanla,
Yes,
shall
ma'am.
we move to concluding session?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so very much, Sony ma'am. Now, it's the time to express our gratitude. Let me invite Mrs. Reshmi V.S., Research Scholar, Martha Training College, for proposing the vote of thanks. Over to you, Reshmi ma'am. Reshmi ma'am. In the absence of Reshmi, let me invite Mrs. Tara Rajendran for the vote of thanks. Please, Tara ma'am.
Thank you, Sanila. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, please.
Okay. It's my pleasure to propose vote of thanks for the session. I thank wholeheartedly our resource person, Dr. Sony Mary Varghese ma'am, for spending and sharing with us. It was an info-full session, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. I thank our dear principal, Dr. K.Y. Bendick, and our research coordinator, Dr. Bindu ma'am, for preparing the stage for us. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. I thank all the participants for being with us all through the way. Thank you, dear participants. Thank you all. I thank all the heart and soul behind the Insight in-depth session. Prayers for all of us. Thank you, Sony ma'am. Once again, thank you, ma'am, so much. Thank you all. Over to you, Sanla.
Thank you so much, Tara ma'am. Thank you, Ansi ma'am, for all the technical support. And thank you so much, Smriti ma'am and Tara ma'am, for filling the gap. Thank you so much. Dear participants, please fill the feedback form. The link is shared in the chat box. E-certificate will be received in your email ID, which you have entered in the feedback form. Thank you so much for your valuable participation. Please join us on next week for another great webinar in our Insight in-depth invited talk series. Thank you so much. See you all next week. May God bless you all. Stay safe. Thank you once again. Let us now stand up for the national anthem. Thank you.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता। पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा। विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा। तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे। गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत